Eric Trump, the smart one, was on Newsmax as well. And the quote from him is, "This guy's a disaster."
Okay, Eric Trump, executive vice president of the Trump Organization, joined.
Well, I mean, executive vice Shemp, I think, is really what his full title is.
Just now, Eric, I assume you listened to President Biden there, you know, taking his victory lap, as I pointed out, an unearned victory lap. But I did notice that he.
I don't know that it. Well, let's see. When was this? Yeah. Victor, is it fully a victory lap? Because I guess. I mean, it looked like a speech about the end of a war to me, but call it a victory lap. You know,
your father at least 3 times. Your response.
Well, he used to be the president. I don't know if you know this.
I can't even respond to this guy anymore. I mean, I feel like as American, Eric,
I'm glad we had you on. Thanks for calling in. We'll see you next week.
I want a refund. We pay 38%.
I want a refund.
Federal taxes, and we give literally a terrorist organization $86 billion worth of arms. And I think you did a beautiful job. You know, your synopsis was amazing. But think about it, 600,000 arms, 76,000 vehicles. We gave a terrorist organization that 3 weeks ago was riding around on mopeds, we gave them 76,000 vehicles, tanks.
No, we did not. That's... No, we've been moving shit out as much as we've been putting it into country. This is that, again, remember that $86 billion number or whatever the fuck they're doing, $81 billion. They're just going to pretend that everything in the last 20 years is sitting there clean, functional, not, you know, none of it's been damaged, none of it's been blown up, none of it's new, none of it's been transferred, none of it's been destroyed. Like, it's a cartoon.
APCs, up-armored Humvees. We gave them Black Hawk helicopters. We gave them C-130s. We gave them mini birds, what our special forces use to fly into the top of buildings, right? We gave them 20,000 grenades, Eric. You know, so
20,000 grenades. Something they could never get from the Chinese or the Soviets. Russians, but you know what I mean.
We as Americans are paying 38% taxes, federal taxes. So
you're not.
Arm people that detest our way of life, that hate who we are as Americans.
We're not anymore. We're getting the fuck out of there. Your dad wanted to stay for 2 more years, minimum. What the fuck are you talking about? What, we're paying all this taxes that we're not actually paying to give weapons to people that we're no longer giving weapons to?
Christianity, who hate our way of life. I feel like we're getting...
Yeah, I would totally get in that helicopter. I'm sure it works fine. The holes in the glass, yeah, I just put some duct tape on that shit. I'm sure that the soldiers, as they were leaving, didn't remove any elements of it that make it run, and certainly not any crucial nuts and bolts.
Ripped off every single day. And then you see him looking at his watch as he's incredible.
Biden had his rosary on his wrist, by the way.
Brave men and women are coming back in caskets.
Your dad didn't even go.
At Dover Air Force Base, the most solemn place. I mean, I remember when my...
just to throw this up here, but I don't know what he's about to say. But this is kind of important, you know what I mean? So you have some sort of Pence went, so there's that. In the world of Donald Trump, he's paid his respect to many, many returning soldiers killed in the line of duty, with daughter and top presidential aide Ivanka Trump adding that each time she has stood by his side at one of these ceremonies, it has hardened his resolve to bring the troops home. No, it didn't, because he went through his whole presidency and never brought them home. And then he just told us that May 1st was a bullshit date and he never intended to keep it, and it was going to take at least 2 years to get everybody out. In the real world, Trump has traveled to Dover Air Force Base in Delaware exactly 4 times, fewer than half as many times as his vice president, and avoided going at all for nearly 2 years after getting berated for his incompetence by the father of a slain Navy SEAL. Bill Owens, father of William Ryan Owens, refused to shake Trump's hand in 2017, the aide said, and then told Trump that he was responsible for his son's death for approving the disastrous raid in Yemen without bothering to understand the risks. He refused to go back for 2 years. He was so rattled, the aide said, adding that the main reason Trump had approved the raid just 5 days after taking office was that predecessor Barack Obama had refused to do so. Sorry, what again? What? The most
Eric went out there and he would see
sorry.
space. The most men and women are coming back in caskets at Dover Air Force Base, the most solemn place. I mean, I remember when my father, Eric, went out there and he would see troops coming off
sometime before 2017.
The back of these planes, and I can tell you the impact that has on a person's life. And this guy,
yeah, it rattled him so much he never went back after 2017. But I mean, that's when he stopped being president. It's not like he was president in 2018. Well, the rest of 2017, 2018, 2019, 20. Oh shit, that was a long time.
is looking at his watch. We want a refund as a nation. This guy is
a refund. What Eric Trump is asking to see the manager.
Disaster. He's literally flushing the respect of our country down the tubes. He's embarrassed.
Yeah, how our country's going to respect us if we don't say we're going to leave Afghanistan and still stay in? I mean, honestly, who respects you for actually keeping your word and doing what you say you're going to do?
Our flag. He's embarrassing everything that we stand for.
Well, at least he's not humping the flag. I think that's a plus. You know what I mean? It's one thing to not agree with someone kneeling for the flag. It's another thing to rub your dick on it at every turn. Could you tell your dad to knock that shit off? No one is impressed, especially the flag.
Greatest country on earth. And one other point I got to make, Eric, these weapons do not have expiration dates on them. Those M16s and those saws and those machine guns and, the grenades, these will be used for the next 20 and 30.
Abdul, are these grenades good? Or, I don't know, does it smell funny to you? It's a little sour. Were you smuggling this in your shorts again? I was. Oh, okay, that's not it. They're probably still good. I'm gonna guess it's good. Fucking hell.
40 and 50 and 60 years. I mean, some of the AK-40.
Yeah, everybody wants to pull the pin in an emergency on a 60-year-old grenade they found in a box. How about this? Fire a 60-year-old gun, a machine gun, fully loaded, that has not been taken care of.
That they have on the battlefield right now. They were produced in the 1960s and 1970s.
So they're state of the art. So you're saying we didn't give them the brand new shit, and that China? What if China found out the technology we were using in 1970?
It's going to be untold lives that these weapons take because of our foolishness and our carelessness. And you know what? The blood of Americans and the blood of people all around the world will lie with Joe Biden. This is
Well, your dad could have taken out all that gear and everyone last year or the year before or the year before that or the year before that. But he didn't. Why? I mean, he had a great plan. Could have left without anybody knowing we were gone. Right, Eric? I mean, it was such a good plan. It was a beautiful plan. It was literally beautiful. It was beautiful. It was so beautiful. And he had a beautiful plan, and it was perfect, and it would have been orderly and very clean, and they could have done it, and they would have taken out the people first, and the government would have collapsed, but that's okay. And then we would take out the military guys, but after they blew up the stuff and blew up the landing strips and blew up the bases, so the military would have to, I guess, stand on the side of the road and hitchhike to Pakistan. But other than that, it was a beautiful plan. It would have worked out. And all they were waiting for was the conditions on the ground that there never be another terrorist in Afghanistan. And of course, the only way you can make sure they're keeping it is to stand there and watch them. for a million years.
Grace.
And I want to point this out, and they've done this. They as this exit strategy failed, as we lost 13 service members, they keep going back to this false choice of binary.
So those soldiers failed in their job. Nice, Eric. Eric 2. Should I call one of you Bolling and the other one Trump, or I'll just call one? You know what? You're just Eric squared.
Choice of either stay or leave. And it was never that. In fact, your father said, yeah, let's leave, which somewhere around 75% of Americans agree with.
Somewhere around that. I don't know. We haven't really checked later. Your dad said leave, but we weren't going to leave. I mean, your dad said leave. You know what I mean?
There was always the right choices, I point out. And the right choice was leave, but leave orderly and leave with.
Yeah. Tell us how you would do that. Roll out the version of reality where you leave everyone, like you're in Afghanistan and people just start filing out of the country. Tell us what that looks like.
Are people intact? What's this business about blaming your dad, number one, and then this binary choice that they keep trying to float?
Oh, this binary choice? You mean leaving or not leaving? Yeah, what was that binary choice that your dad floated but never chose the other side of the binary?
People often talk about peace through strength, right? And that's really how my father didn't get us into any wars. In fact, he was the first president in American history that didn't get America into wars. He didn't
get us out of any either. He ran getting us out of Afghanistan. By the way, the rest of the country didn't get us into a war during that period of time either. The Congress didn't call for one. The American people weren't calling for one. Like, where is the plus in this?
Believe in it. At the same time, he was the first person to drop a Moab on the top of a mountain and literally take out the entire mountain. The top of the mountain, which was
and yet not hit any Taliban of measure, by the way. Like, all the senior leadership is still alive and running the goddamn thing. But at least there's no mountain there. If they ever want to build a highway, they could name it the Donald Trump Afghan Highway.
Camp, as you remember, failed to exist. They literally pushed a bomb the size of a bus out the back of a cargo plane onto the top of a terrorist camp. And guess what? North Korea sees that, and Russia sees that, and China sees that. People realize that Donald Trump wasn't playing around. Soleimani.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I think the audience needs to understand when Biden's going there saying, yeah, but Trump negotiated with the Taliban. This is how he negotiated. And I'm not telling anything I just want our audience to,
he negotiated with him, but, he set standards that he couldn't possibly meet that were fiction and totally in his fucking head. So we were never actually going to leave.
The Moab killed 36 terrorist cockroaches with one bomb, killed them all at once.
Yeah, a mountain-destroying bomb to kill 38 guys.
He also dropped
who were in the mountains
on a Syrian airbase when there was Russian military at that airbase saying, you know what?
Well, no, he told them to move out of the way, and he let the Syrians know we were going to hit it. So we hit 2 empty buildings and an unused airfield. Like, we didn't even hit the one they use.
Cut the crap with the chemical weapons on your own people. And then the most famous one, I believe, and the one that saved,
which apparently they still did again,
world a lot of grief and strife and death, was when he dropped a bomb on Soleimani, when Qasem Soleimani was killed leaving Iraq. Trump, the senior father, wasn't afraid to kill bad guys. This other guy negotiating with bad guys. Eric,
wait, sorry. Biden's negotiating with bad guys? God damn it. How often do we have to pull this stupid thing up? Hold on. Let's see. Trump deal with Taliban. Negotiating with bad guys? That's a bad thing? Negotiating. Hey, 854 people in the chat. Holy smokes. Welcome, everybody. And thanks for joining us on Facebook as well. Hi. You can help the show out with stars on Facebook. My God, it's full of stars. With the withdrawal from Afghanistan turning deadly for U.S. troops, President Biden faces new criticism for the situation he argues presents him with few options. The deal with Donald Trump cut last year with the Taliban, which we now know Trump never intended to honor at all, and was going to stay in for at least another 2 years. So fuck off. Forced Biden to choose between withdrawal now, which is what he chose, or an escalation of the war, said Thursday. Biden said Thursday as he addressed the nation. He chose to withdraw. I had only one alternative: to send more 1,000 more troops back in Afghanistan to fight a war that we had already won relative to the reason we went in the first place. And off we go. Why Trump cut the deal? Unbeknownst to almost everyone, the major Taliban leaders and separately the president of Afghanistan were going to secretly meet with me at Camp David on Sunday. They were coming to the United States tonight. Unfortunately, in order to build false leverage, they admitted to an attack in Kabul that killed one of our great soldiers and 11 other people. I immediately canceled the meeting and called off peace negotiations. What kind of people would kill so many in order to seemingly strengthen their bargaining position? They didn't. And by the way, that's what he was threatening to do. So the talks continued in Doha. Trump announced there was a deal, blah, blah, blah. The Taliban also agreed to start peace talks with the Afghan government and considered a ceasefire. They didn't. Taliban had been killing Afghan forces throughout this, attempting to use violence as leverage in negotiations. United States would release 5,000 Taliban prisoners, and the Taliban would release 1,000 of its prisoners, which were Afghan soldiers. And let's see. The Taliban's end of the deal asked a lot from the group. Too much to be realistic, critics said, in addition to making sure that nowhere in the country harbored a terrorist cell. They don't, I mean, and how do you determine this in a way that we would trust it? The Taliban agreed to be responsible for any individual who might want to attack the United States from Afghanistan, including new immigrants to the country. The Taliban, quote, will send a clear message that those who pose a threat to the security of the United States and its allies have no place in Afghanistan. They're going to send a clear message. And unless we think that message is clear enough, we're not leaving for at least 2 more years. And then we would begin a 2-year drawdown. The deal required taking the Taliban's promises on faith. Right, which is exactly my point.
I just heard something I couldn't believe. NSA Director Jake Sullivan basically saying, we're willing to spend some money to finance the Taliban after all the stuff we've given them. Final thought.
To finance, is that how he put it? To finance the Taliban?
Yeah, final thought, I think we live in a very, very scary time. I mean, final thought is...
Yeah, but that's, I mean, in all fairness, Eric, you think balloons are scary. How do they stay up? They seem larger than the string.
Afghanistan is next to Pakistan. Pakistan is a nuclear...
It's connected to the leg bone.
...power. They believe...
Uh-huh. And Syria is attached to Israel, which is a nuclear power. And...
Sharia law as well, right? There's a lot of people over there who don't like the American way of life. There's a lot of people over there that don't like Christianity and the American flag. And by the way, there's a lot of poverty.
Yeah, they got a real chip on their shoulder about the flag. Like they hate the American flag so much they won't even rub their dick on it.
Over there, and that's not a good combination, especially when we have no eyes and ears on the ground, we have no military presence, and we're talking about a country that has one of the most deadly weapons anywhere in the world, and we as a country better...
Excuse me, we do have relationships with Pakistan, dipshit. We do have eyes on the ground in Pakistan. We don't have soldiers there because we're not occupying Pakistan. And the worry about them firing a nuke is not at us, it's at India.
Be damn, careful that it doesn't attack our shores in a much larger way than ever before. And Eric, you know how hard I fought for this country. I was out there
everywhere but the military and an actual public service. Yeah, he fought for this country by talking at his dad's rallies on the B stage.
You know what my father did for this country.
What'd your father do for this country? I'm not familiar with the fellow.
As a family, it is just it truly hurts us to the deepest parts of our soul.
So there is a silver lining, I suppose.
This guy is doing to the United States of America, which is the greatest place in the world, but we need some real leadership. I mean, it's in this dangerous time, Eric, we need some real leadership, and it's not what we have in the White House. It's certainly not what we have in the Pentagon.
Yeah, real leadership would make a deal with the Taliban, set a date for May 1st, and then blow the fucking date off and just keep people in. And then when they start killing soldiers, every time they kill a soldier, we add 3 more thousand troops until we're back up to the full 110,000 size force. Fucking hell.
Because this should never be allowed to have happened.
Well, obviously, your dad wouldn't have allowed it to happen. He made a deal that he never was going to honor.